Welcome back to The Legend of Heroes Trails in the Sky the Third. Last time, we defeated Amalthea and got through most of the Leyston Fortress Command Center. We haven't the boss in our path though, and I thought to myself, who out of us probably wants to fight this person the most? Now, it may not be obvious who we'll be fighting next, but I was thinking, Agate is a given for this, and well, I realized that Josette was actually arrested by Richard in the Intelligence Division back in FC, so she maybe doesn't really want to get payback against this next boss, but I kind of want to do it anyway because of the irony, and yes, I have given her Kitty Suit and Fool's Emblem just because she's Josette, she needs all the help she can get, and I've also managed to get Zodiac onto her, as well as the gold gem. However, I've also upgraded a lot of her slops. However, I was not able to also get a speed boosting quartz onto her at the same time. But if I have Josette, and she probably needs to stay a little bit closer to the front lines, because I would like for her to debuff this boss's defense. And because she has a defense debuff, I can probably afford to... let me see, what is... I think, it was this that I put on to get Enfeeble. Yeah, I don't think I need that anymore. I can probably safely put on the Topaz Gem instead. I keep Dark Matter EX. And Zodiac. I don't have Gaia Shield, though. Wait, no, I think I replaced the wrong quartz. Yeah, that's good. Now I have Gaia Shield. I do not have Calamitous Blast, though, which is a good thing to have. Might have to go ahead and put... See, it's either that or Ruby Gem, which will probably give me... Yes, it does give me Calamitous Blast, as well as Cyclone Napalm. You know what? I've used Sapphire Gem on Kevin for a little while. I'm going to go back to that and just see how much damage I'm doing with Cyclone Napalm. And everyone else I'm pretty much fine with. I want to see if there are any new conversations in the garden, though. In this case, keep calm and have a drinking contest. Okay, so their dialogue doesn't actually change, it's just commenting on Kilika. Okay then. Now, their dialogue definitely does change after the end boss of the Impregnable Fortress, but this is not that, so I'm missing a little bit of EP on Kevin. Hang on a second. Actually, wait, no, I can just warp to the command center second floor and heal at the heal point there. Get that EP back. In terms of remote ability, though, I've been using Mueller for a while because remote ability is just that good. Is there anyone else I could go for here? It's just kind of... Nobody else is really as good. Like, even Zin's defense boost is not as good as Mueller's. It's just kind of insane how good Mueller is as a remote ability. I mean, that's gonna make Kevin stronger arts-wise, but that's pretty much all it's gonna do. Even Joshua is outclassed in everything by Mueller except agility. I'll keep Mueller for now. Let's go. What time do you call this? You're late, all of you! What? General Morgan? What is the meaning of all this? I get dragged here by some bizarre masked hoodlum stripped of my free will, and am now being used like some sort of puppet. This is humiliating. I've never been so damn infuriated in all my years! General. Heh, you haven't changed. Boy, this is one hot-blooded old man. Well, I suppose getting angry won't do me any good. You all have my sympathies for the situation you've been forced into. I see you're here too, Agate Krosner. I thought if it were to run it... I think that's a typo, it should be I thought if I were to run into you again, it wouldn't be in a place like this. Heh, you got me there. I've heard all kinds of stuff about you since we last met, though. Been told there was a point where you were known far and wide as LaBeoul's God of War. That true? Humph, that was a long time ago. Richard. I have plenty I want to say to you, and a lot I could say to you. But I'm not sure I'm the best person to do so, so I'll let you off for now. Thank you, General. Regardless, I think I've wasted enough time talking. There's no avoiding a battle between us. We may as well get started on it. A halberd? Adios, I'm not sure when I last saw one of those. Don't underestimate his weapon. In his hands, it is extremely deadly. Before the mechanization of the army began, the halberd claimed the lives of countless foes on the battlefield. Ha! I haven't had cause to wield this since the martial arts tournament 2 years ago, however. But if you struggle against an old man like me, the odds of your success in the trials ahead are grim indeed. Don't hold back! Show me what you've got! We are facing off against General Morgan. This is a really cool fight, because we've heard that General Morgan was, well, a very famous and strong general back in FC and SC. We never got to see him fight, though, and now we finally do. But he's also been flanked by 2 Royal Army officers, who, guess what, are not immune to Gorgon Arrow. So I can do that. And that means they're basically dead. So, yeah, his backup is not going to be much of a help to him in this fight. I think I'll just have you Zodiac first, and then I'll debuff Morgan's defense. Hopefully she doesn't get one shot. Oh, going for Kevin instead. And can I delay Morgan? I cannot. Okay, then. Well, I mean, Richard is basically walking delay with just how, I don't even need to bother with targeting the other officer, because he's gonna get petrified anyway soon. But yeah, Richard will just keep spamming S-Craft, so basically delay the enemy turns that way. I haven't even needed to use speed buffs in many of these fights, I just realized. Okay, here's the thing. I really want to go full Richard spam, but at the same time, clock up EX yourself, because I want to debuff Morgan's defense before I do anything else with Stampede. Now, I hope he's not immune to this. He is... Oh, no, he's immune to the other aspect of it, but he's not immune to the defense down, which is good. And I am so glad that that officer was standing directly behind Morgan there, because if he wasn't... Okay, good, I can actually target you. If he wasn't, then Morgan would have been knocked back severely by Josette's attack there, and then Richard might have been able to not get his attacks in. Okay, this could be an issue, actually. At this point, I do want Morgan to be knocked back, so have another Stampede. Now, are you directly in line with that other guy? No, you're not. Good, okay, that is gonna knock you all the way back there. And I know you're immune to delay now, so I can probably just go ahead and, I'm just gonna leave those two there petrified. Petrification never wears off in the Sky games, and any attack against a petrified enemy is instant death. So, though those 2 officers, I don't need to worry about them ever again. Probably should have given Richard the physical quartz rather than Agate, because Richard's the one who's kind of going to be staying over there and delaying. I guess I can try Gaia Shield. Okay, that is... See ya! I had a feeling that might inflict faint. Well, at least Josette has a lot of speed to go ahead and start using some, Oh yeah, I can try out my new, Fruity Temptation, which I made, I would say a lot of, not really a lot of, but a decent amount of. Okay, here we go, Gaia Shield. This is our first time seeing this. It's a pretty cool looking animation, but it's basically just Earthwall the whole party. And now, the spammage continues. Oh no, yeah, Josette's... No, she's not dead, she had a guard, good. Okay, you're getting into a position where I can't exactly stampede you out of my way at this point, so, yeah, you were actually supposed to be an Earth Guard bot here, so let's just put the Earth Guard back on yourself. Speedy Earth Guard bot is really your main thing, and I mean, I guess the officers are going to be taking up, potentially things like crit turns and HP upturns and things like that, so yeah, let's just get rid of them now. Okay, yeah, Agate's movement's not amazing. Sort of want him to be a bit of a lure here, but like again, I probably should have Used the wrong craft there, but I probably should have had Richard do that. Now that I have a speedy Earthguard user and we're all Earthguarded, this shouldn't be that bad. Morgan hits incredibly hard, so this is definitely a fight where you do not want to skimp on Earth Wall, especially if you're on Nightmare mode, because in which case he'll do, like, most of your health in one hit. And, well, let's just say that if you have trouble with Morgan, like he said, then you're going to really have trouble with what's coming up next. Because if you look at Morgan's Nightmare stats, they're pretty high, but what comes after Morgan is even worse. Now, if I line things up right, I may even be able to finish this with Richard's S-Craft. Because he did about 13... Oh, he did 13,000 to a regular enemy, so I don't know. You can get, like, one good hit in there. And then... How about we try this? I left the animation there in full because Agate kind of has a score to settle with this guy. And I'm going to go for Josette's S-Craft next. I had a feeling that wouldn't finish it. But, yeah, I don't really want to use any more of Richard's CP, because I'll still have to use him in the next segment. And there we go. General Morgan has been defeated. It is a little cheesy taking down his officers like that, but I mean, you know, if they're not immune to petrify, I'm gonna go ahead and take up that opportunity. Well, that's something of a relief. Perhaps you might be able to pull off a miracle with that strength. Then our final foe is who I fear it is. Indeed it is. And no matter how strong he may be, he is human like the rest of us. No man is invincible. But that guy comes pretty close. Pour everything you have into the battle, and you may yet be able to defeat him. Understood. Still, I'm a little disappointed. The thought that he may actually be defeated in battle and I won't be there to see it happen is a frustrating one. Should we ever meet again, I'd like to know how the battle went. Well, it sounds like we're in for the fight of our lives. That it will be. I suspect this was always an inevitability, especially as long as I am here. I may not be in any position to ask, but I'd appreciate it if you would all lend me your strength. This battle should allow me to finally put the past behind me so I can truly move forward, but I can't win it alone. After a plea like that, how could we refuse? Heh, nothing would make me happier. I'm curious just how much of a fight I can put up against him these days too. This next guy's really that much of a big deal, huh? Still, I'm not gonna let that stop me from trying. Thank you, all of you. Our next opponent is perhaps the strongest in the land. No underhanded tricks will work against him. Our only hope is to do as the general said and pour everything we have into fighting him. May the goddess smile upon us. Right. After that, I'm going to go back here and heal, and unfortunately for these two, I'm not going to be taking them to this next fight. There's a party that I feel really has to be the one that I use here. Now, really, though, you should pull out all the stops. If you have people who are higher level than everyone else, definitely choose them over anybody else. People like Ren, thankfully you're forced to use Richard, but people like Ren are also incredible here. But for me, I'm going to go with who I feel makes the most sense in this fight from a story standpoint. And, of course, that would be...
You ready?
These two. And I'm going to be using them for the next segment of the fortress, because they're going to need all the level ups they can get before the big fight. Do you have anything new to say? Oh yeah, we already know that much. And we're back. So, in terms of orbments, I've changed a little bit around on Kevin just because I found out that he could swap out attack 4. I just realized that I took the Ruby Gem off of Joshua because I changed my mind, so actually let's give him back the Ruby Gem. But yeah, like, my point is that he could have Cyclone Napalm without Ruby Gem, all he needed was attack 4, but yeah, let's just change that back, because on Joshua I actually decided, by using the Topaz Gem, I could get Dark Matter EX on him. And I'll show you his stats in a moment to show you why I've done that, but Estelle, I've got her as a Zodiac bot. I don't have any EP reduction on her at the moment, both because she has a decent amount of EP on her own, but also because I wanted to get move 3 onto her, because I'm kind of speccing her more as a physical attacker at the moment. Also, Richard now has Strike Back instead of Petrify, because I feel like that's going to be more broadly helpful, since nothing's immune to being criticals. Back to Estelle, though, I kind of want to take advantage of the fact that she has one of the highest natural strength stats in the game. And as you can see, she has the Tiger Heart, she has some strength boost, she has the Knight Armor to make her even bulkier, and now I can actually equip the Force Flag. I love the idea of Estelle just hitting things with a giant flag. It has increased range and gives her increased speed too, which is even better. And Joshua has been geared up more for casting. He's got some very good speed thanks to the kitty suit and hit-resistant boots, even with Crimson Eye, and I've got Dark Matter EX on him. So, let's head further in. I sort of wanted Joshua to use spamming area attacks, and I just realized that, yeah, I couldn't quite get Calamitous Blast onto him with anything really worthwhile, but Dark Matter EX is definitely better than Death Scream. I spam Death Scream a lot in my first playthrough, but, I kind of feel like it's not really the best. Still doesn't even need to move to attack there. That's the power of the range that she's got. I'm pretty sure Joshua still has cast too. I'm kind of surprised that Kevin is casting before him, even with Joshua's highest speed. I guess it's because Kevin in general just went first. So he got to start his casting first. Oh, hey, level up on Joshua, nice. So we only have a little bit more to go of this place, and I have something that I've been wanting to say about Trails in the Sky for, oh, I just realized I don't actually have haze on anyone right now, so I suppose Richard's probably the best to put that on at the moment. I don't think I really need the Emerald Gem. It's funny how these guys are just like stationary sentries who just turn around to face you if you don't have haze on. But anyway, what I was saying is that I might stop reading out chess quotes during this, because I don't want this talk to be interrupted. It's something that, again, I've been wanting to talk about for a while. I want to talk about this back in Sky SC, but I never really found the time to do so. And I wanted to talk about it just after encountering General Morgan, because he's part of this kind of mini-verbal essay. So, I personally think that Trails in the Sky, specifically SC, is a rare example of a subtle anti-war message in a video game. Now, there are a lot of anti-war video games out there. Like, in fact, pretty much every video game that has, like, a war in it, you can usually expect that it has some kind of anti-war message, and a lot of the time, they do get very, very unsubtle. In some cases, not that's a bad thing. Like, I kind of feel like, you know, unsubtlety has its merits at points, but I do admit that, like, you often see the same kinds of themes and tropes a lot in these kind of anti-war video games, and something that I have been thinking is that Trails in the Sky SC actually does have an anti-war message to it, but it is surprisingly subtle. Here's what I mean. Never in Sky SC do they ever outright say war is bad or war is horrible. Instead, what happens is you get a story that it doesn't even focus on a war. The war actually happened in the past, the 100 Days War with Erebonia. But what's interesting is that through going through the Liberl Kingdom and visiting a lot of its locations, and getting to hear the stories of the people who live there, you see just how badly the 100 Days War affected the civilian population of Liberl. You see that both in Roland, with Estelle's mother being killed when the clock tower in Roland was hit by a stray airstrike, and that led to Cassius quitting, abandoning the army in shame, which in turn led to Richard in his desire to basically make the country strong enough to avoid another invasion by Erebonia, go to the drastic lengths that he did. So that had a really huge ripple effect. And then you see Ravenue Village, where you get to see Agat's, the story of Agat and how his sister died when the village was destroyed by stray shelling, and how all of the people's lives were affected by that. But what I think is also interesting about this is that while you do get to... Oh, and of course, on top of all that, before I go into that, I just kind of realized I forgot to talk about Hummel, which is obviously the real point there. When you see Hummel, and again, that's something that had a huge ripple effect in the franchise going forward. And we'll see the ripple effects of Hummel even in later arcs. That didn't just have repercussions on Luve's backstory and Ouroboros, but it had repercussions in Erebonia. I think it even had some repercussions in Crossbell. The Hummel incident was really the kickstarting point to a lot of the really dark things that go on in Zemuria. And again, that was just primarily caused by Erebonia looking for a pretext to invade Liberl out of desire for its technology, and so they fabricated a false flag operation. They hired mercenaries to massacre the civilian population of a village so they could blame Liberl for it and have an excuse to invade. And everything that happened, during the whole Hummel incident is portrayed with a horrifying level of realism. The kind of things they described going on in Hummel is just, while it was happening, is just awful, and you... Okay, I'm actually getting that now? That's weird. I think that means the chests in the doors must have counted. That is the only explanation that I can find, because normally I get that in the next dungeon in Chapter 6. But yeah, to quickly stop my tangent for a second, you do not need every chest in the game to get the chest achievement for Sky the Third. I'm not sure why they set it up that way, but it does give you definitely a bit of lenience. And it's certainly nicer than some of the other games in the series, where you cannot miss a single chest to get the achievement, including the ones in one-time dungeons. There are very few one-time dungeons in Sky the Third as well. But back to what I was saying... Oh yeah, that's speaking of chests, we've got reference to that. In spite of all of that, and just all of the horrific things that you see described with Hummel, again, even after the Hummel incident, the game never says, war is bad, explicitly. It's a very show-don't-tell way of doing it. But the other thing that I was going to say is that, in spite of all that, General Morgan, and a lot of other members of Liberl's military are not demonized either. And I love the scene that General Morgan has with Agat in Ravenue Village at the end of Chapter 5 in Sky SC. General Morgan is introduced as your typical grumpy old military commander who just kind of hates everyone who isn't in the army. And originally you think that he's just going to stay that way, and that he's just going to be a flat hate-sink character, but he gets over his dislike of braces surprisingly quickly. And he has that very heartfelt moment with Agat in Ravenue Village and with Luve, where he says that, he wishes he could have done more for the people of Ravenue Village, and that a part of him still blames himself, even though, the village wasn't intentionally attacked. A part of him still blames himself for it. He feels like if he had maybe... if his command had been different, if the lines of battle had been in a different location, then maybe Ravenue Village wouldn't have been damaged, and those people wouldn't have died. And then at the same time, Cassius actually has to go back to the army at the end of the Sky arc to reform things, because he realizes that despite the fact that Richard kind of started a military coup and tried to overthrow the government of Liberl and forcibly take over, and would have been harming a lot of civilians, and also work with Ouroboros to do that and help brainwash people and have the Capuas hijack airliners and things like that. But at the same time, he realized that Richard's argument still had merit, that Liberl was still quite vulnerable to invasion if Erebonia decided it again, and so it's subtle, it's nuanced, it's something that you quite rarely see in a game, and it is something that I've been wanting to talk about for a while. Again, wanted to talk about that back in Sky SC, I never really found a good chance to do so. I don't know how many other people actually feel that way about the Sky games. But yeah, I feel like if you want a video game that, you know, has anti-war and war-related themes, but doesn't hit you over the head with a sledgehammer about it, Trails in the Sky SC, I think, is quite a good game to play for that. Oh boy. Yep, we're here. This room, with these ominous red lights. And also, don't worry if you might have noticed that the chest tracker doesn't list us as having all the chests of this place. You might remember there were some chests back with that gunship. We'll be dealing with those a bit later. But perfect time to stop here, because next time... Before I leave, there's a few things I'm going to say. So, the boss that is coming up, this is indeed who you think it is. It's going to be Cassius Bright. This is what many people consider to be the hardest fight in the game, for good reason. The Liberl arc has built up Cassius as this living legend and an in-universe mimetic badass. Like, this guy is like if Chuck Norris facts were actually true. And he lives up to it from a gameplay standpoint. He is exactly as powerful as you would expect him to be. This fight will probably destroy you even on normal mode. In fact, this fight is so tough that if you lose, the game gives you the option to lower the difficulty to easy just for this fight. You want to be very, very prepared for this. I'll also say, though, that the physical quartz is very useful because Cassius has no magic attacks. That's the one mercy that you get here. You may also not want to be too bunched up, because Cassius' strongest attack by far is a delay AoE, and if that gets you, you are nearly guaranteed to be wiped out next turn, because he'll go again immediately and he'll just destroy you. He also has an S-craft. He has a buffing craft that buffs his strength and defense to even more absurd levels. You really, really want Earthguard or Gaia's Shield, because basically you just do not have, like, no matter how high your HP and defense is, you are not lasting long against Cassius. You will need Earthwall to absorb his hits. And again, really, there are a lot of viable parties for this. Something cool is that from a story standpoint, Cassius has unique pre- and post-battle dialogue for every possible party that you can bring against him. And in fact, dialogue in the garden after you beat Cassius will change depending on who you beat him with. So I would highly recommend keeping a save from this point. If you're on Nightmare mode, I would very much recommend that if you are having trouble, go back to the 5th plane and use that trick that I showed in the Blue Blunk Stardoor video, Stardoor 11, to farm kitty suits from poltergeists. Kitty suits, and if you want, you can also go back to the arena on normal. It should be pretty trivially easy for you at this point. Go back to the arena on normal and beat Gilbert for more Fool's Emblems, if you really need them. Fool's Emblem plus heat-resistant boots plus kitty suits, that will actually give you a big edge against Cassius. Sorry for the jarring music cut, but one more thing I want to say about Cassius. Cassius is so strong that he don't need no backup. You will just be fighting him, and that means that area attacks and spells are less important than having single target strong attacks like Cyclone Napalm. That will be your main form of magical damage against him, but Dark Matter EX is still useful because you can use that to pull him away from you, and that might really, really help you sometimes. And I think that's all I had to say. Except for one thing. The next video, I will be fighting Cassius on Nightmare mode from a file and a video I prepared earlier. I actually recorded this footage in late October 2021. I prepared for this in advance in my Nightmare mode test file because there is an achievement for beating Cassius on Nightmare, and I wanted to show that during the playthrough. So next time, you will not only see the horror that is Cassius, you will also see the even more horror that is Cassius on Nightmare. Look forward to that next time, and for now, I will leave you, and see you then after I beat Cassius on hard off screen.